My sister cut off my 9-year-old's hail out of jealousy while I was gone, so I called the police and pressed felony child abuse charges, watching her get handcuffed in my living room. My world has always had a single, radiant sun, my daughter Chloe. From the moment she was born, with a shock of blonde hair and eyes the color of a summer sky, she possessed a light that seemed to push back the shadows of the world. Now, at 9 years old, that light had only grown brighter. She was all laughter and gentle curiosity, her long corn silk hair flowing behind her like a banner of innocence. It was hair she loved, hair I loved brushing each night, a ritual that sealed the day with peace. She was and is my whole life. Every decision I made, from the career I built to the home I maintained, was a fortress constructed around her happiness. The shadow in our lives, I now realize, was always there, lurking at the edges. My sister Sarah was 7 years my senior. Where my life had followed a linear path of career and motherhood, Sarah's had been a series of turbulent storms, a promising career in marketing that never quite took off, a string of failed relationships, and a recent, particularly brutal divorce that had left her financially and emotionally adrift at 35. She would come over for Sunday dinners, her smiles tight and never reaching her eyes. Her compliments to Chloe always carried a strange, bitter aftertaste. "She's so perfect, isn't she?" Sarah would say, watching Chloe dance in the backyard. "Those blue eyes, that hair. It's almost unnatural how beautiful she is. Must be nice to have life just handed to you." I dismissed it. I made excuses, layering them over her barbs like bandages on a wound I refused to believe was festering. "She's just going through a rough patch," I'd tell my husband Mark after she left. "She doesn't mean it. She's jealous of the stability, not of Chloe." I convinced myself that family was the ultimate sanctuary, that blood ties were unbreakable. I offered her money, which she refused. I offered her a place to stay, which she declined with a wave of her hand. What she wanted, I understand now, was not support, but to dismantle the very source of her perceived injustice, my happiness, symbolized by my daughter's effortless beauty. The catalyst was a business trip to Toronto, a high-stakes meeting I could not delegate. It was 3 days. The thought of leaving Chloe sent a primal fear through me, but the thought of taking her out of school was equally unappealing. My parents lived hours away. Mark was on a project overseas. The logical, familial choice was Sarah. "It's just 3 days," I told Chloe, my voice brimming with a false confidence I didn't feel. "You and Aunt Sarah will have a fun girls' weekend. Pizza, movies, the works." Chloe, ever trusting, simply nodded. "Okay, Mommy, I'll miss you." The goodbye was a physical ache. I kissed the top of her fragrant head, a final silent prayer for her safety. The trip was a grueling marathon of presentations and negotiations, but I powered through, fueled by the thought of getting home to my daughter. A last-minute cancellation on the final day freed me up. I could have stayed an extra night, taken a later flight, but the pull was magnetic. I changed my ticket, a thrill of anticipation cutting through my exhaustion. "I'll surprise them," I thought, a smile finally touching my lips. "I'll walk in and scoop her up." I remember the silence of our house when I unlocked the door. It was a heavy, watchful silence, wrong for a home with a child in it. I dropped my suitcase with a thud. "Chloe? Sarah? I'm home early," I called out, my voice echoing in the stillness. The first thing I saw was Sarah at the top of the stairs. Her face, usually a mask of weary cynicism, was a cartoon of shock. Her skin paled, her eyes wide with something I now recognize as pure panic. You're back," she stammered, her voice unnaturally high. She moved quickly, almost skittering, to block the hallway to the bedrooms. "Chloe's not feeling well. She's sleeping. You should have called." And then I saw her. A small, ghostly figure emerged from behind Sarah's legs. My mind, for a heart-stopping second, refused to compile the data. This couldn't be my Chloe. This child was bald, her scalp a patchy, brutalized landscape of pale skin and angry red cuts. The beautiful long hair was gone, replaced by a harsh, uneven shave. There were nicks and scratches everywhere, clear evidence of a violent struggle, of a head that had thrashed and fought against the razor. But it was her eyes that shattered me. Her beautiful blue eyes were hollow, haunted, swimming in a deep well of a terror I could not comprehend. The world tilted on its axis. The air turned to syrup in my lungs. "Mommy?" That single broken whisper was the key that unlocked a torrent of primal rage and grief. I didn't speak to Sarah. I didn't even look at her. I shoved past her, my body moving on an instinct older than reason, and fell to my knees. I gathered Chloe into my arms, and her small body was rigid, then dissolved into violent, silent tremors. She buried her face in my neck, and the feel of her bare, wounded scalp against my skin was a violation that seared me to my core. I held her, rocking us both, my tears falling onto the ruins of her hair. The betrayal was not an emotion. It was a physical entity, a shard of ice lodged in my heart. Every memory I had of my sister, every shared childhood laugh, every Christmas morning, turned to ash. The following hours were a nightmare of subdued activity. I put Chloe to bed in my room, staying with her until the exhaustion of trauma pulled her into a fitful sleep. The cold, sharp clarity of purpose had settled over me, smothering the initial wave of hysteria. I was a fortress now, and my daughter was the sole inhabitant. The next morning, Sarah was waiting in the kitchen. She had composed herself, a thin veneer of normalcy plastered over her guilt. "Oh, you came back early," she began, her voice artificially bright. "Look, I know it's a shock." It was so hot and her hair was so thick. I thought a cute, short pixie cut would be so much easier. She was just so fidgety, that's all. That's how she got nicked. It was an accident. I listened to the lie, my face a stone mask. I looked at this woman, my own flesh and blood, and saw a stranger capable of a profound, premeditated cruelty. She hadn't just cut hair. She had attacked my child's identity, her sense of safety, her beauty. She had held her down and stolen a part of her. Arguing was pointless. Explanations were worthless. There was only one path forward. I walked into the living room, my movements deliberate. I picked up my phone. My fingers were steady as I dialed the 3 numbers. When the dispatcher answered, my voice was calm, clear, and cold. "I need to report an assault on a child. My 9-year-old daughter. The perpetrator is my sister, Sarah Evans. She is currently in my home." The aftermath was a tempest that tore my family in two. The police arrived, their presence making the horror official and real. Sarah's composure shattered completely. She wept, she begged, she unraveled right there in our living room. "It was her!" she sobbed, pointing a trembling finger at me, then at the ceiling where Chloe slept. "She has everything. The perfect life, the perfect daughter. That hair, those eyes. They mocked me. Every day they mocked my failures. I wanted it gone. I wanted the perfection gone. Please, you have to understand. I'm her aunt. I love her." My parents arrived, summoned by a frantic call from Sarah before the police took her away. Their faces were a tapestry of confusion and pain. My mother especially was torn apart. "Baby, she's your sister," she cried, pulling me into a hug I didn't return. What she did was monstrous, but it's a sickness. She needs help, therapy, not a jail cell. "Don't do this! Don't tear our family apart forever over this." I looked at my mother, my heart a hard, cold stone in my chest. "Mom, she tore the family apart when she held your granddaughter down and mutilated her," I said, my voice quiet but absolute. "My only family is upstairs, sleeping in my bed, and I will spend the rest of my life being the wall between her and the world. Sarah is no longer my sister." I pressed charges with the relentless focus of a laser. I met with detectives and a kind, fierce woman from the district attorney's office. I held Chloe's hand as she spoke with a specialist, a child psychologist who gently helped her give a recorded testimony that would become the cornerstone of the case. The evidence was overwhelming. The physical wounds documented by a police photographer, the psychological evaluation, the testimony of a hairdresser who confirmed Sarah had purchased clippers the day I left, and most damningly, Sarah's own recorded confession to the police, full of venomous jealousy. She was charged with felony child abuse, assault, and endangering the welfare of a minor. Facing the mountain of evidence, her lawyer advised a plea deal. She was sentenced to jail time, the duration of which felt both like a victory and a life sentence of its own. I cut all ties. Completely and irrevocably, it was a surgical amputation, a necessary act of survival. My relationship with my parents is now a fragile, distant thing. A phone call on birthdays, a stilted conversation at holidays. The cost was immense. Now, months later, the healing is slow. Chloe's hair is growing back, soft, golden fuzz that I touch with a reverence that brings tears to my eyes. We see a therapist together every week. Some nights she still wakes up screaming, trapped in the memory of the razor's buzz. But she also laughs again. The light in her eyes, though occasionally dimmed by a sudden fear, is slowly returning. My sister faced the consequences of a crime born from a poisoned heart. I chose my daughter. I will always choose my daughter. The justice system provided a form of closure, a societal reckoning. But our true peace is rebuilt in the quiet moments of every day, in a shared joke, in a tight, trusting hug, in the slow return of security to her beautiful blue eyes. It is a peace forged in the fires of betrayal and hardened by a mother's unbreakable vow.